SAIL Disability Network Upper Peninsula logo. Picture of UP in orange with blue paint circle. SAIL Accessibility Consultation Services Access for All logo. Green and blue words titled Access with exclamation point at end and for all underneath. A conversation with the SAIL Board Executive Committee. 6 persons on screen in separate boxes. Sarah Pirikoski in office wearing black shirt. Lucy Wilcox in office wearing flower pattern dress. Judy Rosemurgy in home wearing purple shirt. Alan Beauchamp in home wearing black shirt. Dean Juntanen in home wearing red shirt. Aaron Andres in home wearing blue shirt.
So welcome to our ADA 30th anniversary conversation with the SAIL Board of Directors Executive Committee. I'm Sarah Pirikoski. I'm the Executive Director of SAIL, the Disability Network of Michigan. I'm joined here with Lucy Wilcox, who is our Accessibility Services Coordinator. I also have an awesome panel of board members. So I'm going to quickly go through and welcome you all to our talk today, just about where we are from the perspective from SAIL, and introduce each one real quickly. I'm going to start with our current president of the board, Judy Rosemurgy. Hi, Judy.
Hi there.
So Judy has been involved with SAIL for 30 years, and actually Judy and her sister Amy were the two ladies that started SAIL and got that vision there in 1998. So we are so grateful that Judy has now kind of come back and is serving as our president of the board. Judy used to be a former vocational rehabilitation counselor, and so we're grateful that she's back helping lead us into the next 50 years of SAIL. We also have Aaron Andres down here. He's our vice president. He has been with SAIL for 8 years. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Did I say your last name right? Sorry, I might have.
Yes, you did.
He's also the chair of the Michigan Statewide Independent Living Council right now, and so works a lot with different agencies around the state of Michigan with independent living services. So thanks for joining us.
Yes.
We also have Dean Juntanen, who is our secretary of our board at this point. He's been with SAIL for 14 years, serving as that role. A fantastic athlete on many boards in the Copper Country, and really good kayaker and fat bike rider. So thank you, Dean, for being here, and we really appreciate that you take some time out for SAIL.
Hello, and thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. And Alan Beauchamp is our treasurer of the board right now. He has also been with SAIL for about 3 years and is an athlete. He started the sled hockey UP program as the current general manager, and we are just super grateful for Alan to be part of our board as well. So thanks for joining us, Alan.
Hey, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. All right, so Lucy, I'm going to pass it off to you to ask some questions and kind of get our conversation started.
Well, wonderful. Thank y'all for coming together with us and our being able to introduce you to the community during this time. And the one piece that I would add about Alan, because he and I have been working together, we've been working doing accessibility site reviews, and Alan is in the process of becoming a certified ADA coordinator, so that we'll have more oomph when we go out on our site reviews. So thank you, Alan, for that. We wanted to make this a conversation where we're asking you, you're the folks who have the expertise of working with SAIL and being part of this program for different lengths of time, but we'd like to ask you 2 main questions today. And one of them is looking at, we're celebrating 30 years of ADA. So in your experiences over the time that you've been with SAIL, or in your life other experiences, then what we'd like to know, what has changed for you? What are key changes that have made a difference with having the ADA? And Judy, can we start with you?
Sure, you can start with me. I've grown up and spent all my life in the UP, and I am 33 years of being a wheelchair user. So there's been a lot of changes for me. When I graduated from Northern Michigan, it was 1990. So that was before there were any changes from the ADA. And since then, you can tell that there's so many changes that have been all over the community, and several in recreation too, along with getting ramps and access to different areas. But there's still, a way to go, of course. But everything's been so great. And we worked on starting sale was when I first read about Ed Roberts and Judy Heumann in like 1991. So sale was, we were working on starting sale for like 7 years before it came into existence.
Oh, okay.
There's been a lot of changes, and I'm very glad to be back on the board again.
I have found some real heroines and heroes in my exploration of the ADA, and there's a really great movie that Netflix is showing, the documentary about Crip Camp. Oh my goodness! So I'm just so excited about Judith Heumann and so many people and so we'll introduce some of them in our other events through the time. How exciting.
Yeah, I watched that Crip Camp too, and I really enjoyed that.
And who'd like to take it now?
I guess I can chime in. I I have seen several changes from the time the ADA was implemented, particularly, just being able to access local stores, and it's being able to be recognized and be seen more than we were prior to the ADA. And even though that we have several more ways to go and we're not fully integrated into the community, we are making a difference and getting into the community where people can see us and see that we're just like everybody else, and the fact that just because you have a disability doesn't have to define who you are as a person. There's a lot of misconceptions that are being broken down on a daily basis from when the ADA was first enacted. And part of well, part of my work and part of sales work is to help break down some of the barriers and stigmas that come along with having physical challenges or being disabled, so to speak. And just over the past 8 years of when I first joined the board, I have become such a bigger advocate for not only myself but other people as well. And just to come from where I was previously and to see where I am at now over the past 8 years of joining the board and joining other organizations that help contribute to the further movement forward of the ADA. It's amazing to see the types of influences that we have made over the years. and continue to make to this day.
Sarah introduced and said to me one day when we were talking, you know, we really need to be concerned. I've been focused on accessibility, and she said, well, you know, accessibility's twin sister is advocacy. And that's become a mantra for me that, you know, what I hope we can begin to do is use the education piece and you know, maybe learn from you some, Erin, about what were the things that did motivate those changes, you know, in your own experience.
For myself, I'd been advocating my whole life, and it wasn't until I moved up here that I really could find out that I not only can advocate for myself, but can advocate for others. And in fact, I'd been advocating for myself for 32 years prior to knowing that even advocacy was a thing. It was just something ingrained in being able to communicate and being able to identify challenges and barriers that, you know, you go through your daily life and it's just there. And it's letting people know about the barriers that may not understand or may not comprehend it because they don't live it every day. And until you get someone that lives it every day in a position where they can make policy changes to help improve the quality of life for not only disabled individuals, but frankly every individual, because at some point you are going to be disabled, whether you are now or you will be in the future. So it's being able to be forward looking and realize that everybody is going to end up in a position sooner than later. It's just you might as well start now and get the barriers removed so that when you need the assistance is there to help you in your time of crisis. And let's not wait until it's too late or we absolutely need something right now to promote change, and then it can help future generations, not only ourselves.
So enlightened self-interest is a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And Dean, how about you?
Well, I got spinal cord injury in 1991, and then the ADA took effect shortly thereafter. So when I first started, I've been paralyzed from the rib cage down ever since. So I'm a wheelchair user, and when I first started, some places were wheelchair accessible, but not that many. And I have noticed a dramatic increase since the passage of the ADA, because now anything new is going to be quite wheelchair accessible. And then they feature what they call universal design. So it's not just for wheelchair users, but for anyone with any kind of disability. And then also community grant funds also geared toward that because of the ADA. So if you get a grant now to redo a park or refurbish a park, you're going to get extra grant money to make accessible features in that park. Not just for wheelchair users, but for hearing impaired or vision impaired or anything, universal design. So it's been a wonderful thing. And it makes sense because like Erin said, maybe you don't have a disability at the moment, but if you live long enough, you're probably going to have one, or at least one of your loved ones is going to have one. You're going to be dealing with it. So it makes sense.
Dean, some of the, I know of you of being such a super athlete, have you seen a lot of that change in the types of activities that you're doing now because of some of that outdoor accessibility, or have you just always kind of gotten through and been able to get, you know, out there as much as possible? Have you seen a lot of changes with that specifically at all?
Yeah, there's a lot more technology available, and it all kind of exploded, I think, with the passage of the ADA. But me personally, I was going to find a way to do it anyway, and I would have invented my own stuff if it wasn't already out there. And in fact, I've done that in some cases.
Yeah.
So going to a bird of the same feather, Alan, that I'm going to get it done approach to life.
Yes. So my injury happened in 2010. Actually, I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary, which is the 17th of this month. And yeah, so I consider myself the new guy of the group. I'm new to the disabled community, and even the short time that I have experienced, I've seen a lot of different things, and just experienced a whole new world, and with great people like my fellow board members and SAIL colleagues, and I've learned a lot, and it is really amazing doing the things that I have done. I feel that I'm more active now than I was before my injury. And like Dean was talking a little bit about some of the activities he's in, and I created the sled hockey program here in Marquette, and just that education, because I can't count how many times I asked the question, have you ever heard of the adaptive sports sled hockey? And people look at me like, what? Sled what? Hockey? And then when I start talking to them about it, it's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And every individual that plays the sport in the Marquette area, usually they didn't even have an opportunity to get on the ice prior to that. So it's really cool in that aspect.
So you've done things on your own. You've advocated for yourself. You've created whatever you needed to be able to be outside. You've created SAIL, Judy, working with your sister. So looking ahead, what the image that just popped into my head was, if we had Aladdin here and we could rub the lamp, and the genie would come out. Can you each kind of put out what to you would be really critical in the next years coming, what you personally have a vision for, or just what you think? It would be good for our audience to know that.
I think one of the important things that the ADA has done, and it will increase more in the future, is in the area of employment, because now that so many things are accessible, it's a lot easier for people to become employed. And I think that's critical for the future, for people to be out there being seen and having the money to support themselves and contribute more, do things that they want to do in their leisure time.
I think the ultimate goal for us as a country and us as a state is to make it so that people don't see the disabilities. The disabilities don't matter, because ultimately we're just people trying to get through life, and that's everybody. Yes, we may have certain challenges, and yes, there may be I may be doing it differently than, you know, X person over here or Y person over there, but we're all ultimately trying to get the same job done. We're trying to live life, and we're trying to make our lives the best we can and improve society around us for generations to come. And I think if we can get to a place where um society doesn't see people with disabilities and doesn't see individuals that are different, but focusing on, hey, I need help with this, you need help with this, let's work together and accomplish whatever it is, rather than saying, oh, this person's a little different, we should treat him differently than this person over here. Let's work together, and then we can achieve greater things together than we can apart. And I I think as we move forward, particularly with the independent living movement, and particularly with the next generation coming up, the disabilities won't seem to matter as much, because frankly, even I grew up at a time where I was disabled from birth. So I, I didn't really, my, fortunately for me, my mother was a physical therapist. My father was an engineer. So if we didn't have it, we just built it. And if my mom, if I needed to do something, my mom helped me get to the point where I could do it. And through that mindset, you can grow up and realize there's a way to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. It's just getting the right people in place to help you along the way. As my friend says, we we may only need help with picking up a pencil, but that pencil is a pretty important thing when you're talking about living life, or just trying to get through life in general. That's all we're trying to do. And I think it, as more people without disabilities realize that we're similar to the people that are with disabilities, are similar in more ways than we are different in ways to the general public, then as a society and as a culture, we will move forward in a more positive direction.
Mhm. Thank you. You brought me back to one of the teachings that I encountered in a number of people's writing about disability is really the social construct that the rest of society just has, rather than the idea that the individual needs to be defined as someone sick, someone medically needing attention. And I really appreciate that. And I think there's some real education that we can do with that. And Dean,
Yes.
what about you? What do you want in the future?
Well, what I see in the future, I don't know if it matters what I want, but what I see in the future for anyone with mobility impairments is a dramatic increase in robotic technology. I actually tried walking with a robotic exoskeleton a couple winters ago, and that unit weighed 60 pounds, and it was kind of cool. And then this past winter, I tested another unit, and that one weighed 26 pounds, so dramatic improvement in terms of weight. It felt lighter than air in comparison. Um, and I think as time goes on here in the next 5-10 years, the robotics will dramatically expand. Now, they've also been saying that for spinal cord injuries that they're going to be able to cure them within 5 years, but they were saying that in 91 when I got injured, and it just keeps being 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. So maybe someday before I die, they will cure spinal cord injuries and I'll jump up and walk around again. But even if they don't, the robotics, I think, are going to get increasingly sophisticated and useful, so that I may someday leave the wheelchair at home and use a robot instead for mobility.
Yeah, that really brings up a point of obviously technology is advancing no matter where you go, but with the ADA and the requirement to be more accessible for programs, I mean, you're seeing a lot more programs also with the accessibility. I think facilities is the first thing that people think of. And I believe Bill Botten, Lucy, when we were talking to him, you know, we can't forget about how programs need to be accessible as well. And so when you're talking about being able to perform or be part of a program, technology, I think, is going to be coming in a lot more. I've seen as a former rec therapist and working with our programs, you know, the adaptive equipment side of things is so much more sophisticated than it was when I started 10 years ago. So I just think that robotics thing is just really cool. And I know, Dean, it took a lot of strength to be able to do that as well, right?
Oh yeah, it was a tremendous work.
Cool.
Speaking of technology, even wheelchairs themselves have dramatically improved over the last, 40 years or whatever. So look forward to additional technological improvements.
One of the things I'm hoping we can do is I'm hoping the library and the community room will get open to us, and that whenever that would be safe to show some films. There's a very interesting film documentary about all the strides in science. And then also, though, that there's a give and take with that. And the idea that you have to improve and have a more perfect body. And there's some individuals in the disability community who are saying, no, you know, I'm not interested in a perfectly functioning arm. So that's a film I think we as a community could study and have a lot of good questions, a lot of good conversation about. It's very exciting. You gonna jump in, Alan?
Alan, what are your future plans? Ideas?
So, you know, obviously Lucy had mentioned that, you know, she and I have been working together doing ADA site reviews all around the Upper Peninsula. And we have seen some interesting spots. But again, it goes back to that education to show people, hey, we just want to, like Aaron touched on, we just want to be included, you know? I mean, if we go to the park and the grill that is being used is, you know, 50 feet off the road and long grass, and, you know, we just can't navigate that easily. That's not including us, you know? And I like to think of it as just like able body, everybody has different levels of ability. You know, you have 4 wheelchair users too, and we have various levels of ability also. So it's important that you take everything in consideration. So moving into the future, again, it's just, you know, looking at these different areas and helping people, communities, organizations improve those areas so that everyone is included.
Yes, well said.
If I may, going back to creating worlds or creating avenues in which the disabilities don't matter, we also need people that have disabilities to be in positions to give expert opinion on different things that need to be addressed. And in order to change society, in order to change the parks, in order to change the recreation areas, we need people with disabilities who defy the odds and say, no, I'm going to get out and do this anyway. And then we need evidently also the policymakers to listen to us and to implement policies to change the culture in which society is right now. And I think the only way we do that is to continue getting out and letting people be seen that have challenges and have physical ailments or whatever it may be. It may not even be physical. It may be, you know, some mental disability or something like that. That people just are afraid of what they don't understand or what they don't see on a regular basis. So just by getting out and letting people see us, we are in fact changing the culture in which we live, so that there can be um policies created and other things created so that it doesn't have to be as restrictive as it is.
Mhm. Yes, thank you.
Judy, I have one other question for you. In the area of employment, what larger or maybe hopeful changes have you seen throughout your career, and obviously since you started SAIL, and where you see that trend going? I know like when they reauthorized the funding for the Centers for Independent Living, they reauthorized it for Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act and to encourage employment for people with disabilities. But what have you seen throughout the years that you've been involved as a CIL connector, but then also with folk rehab as counselor?
Well, when I was a younger person growing up, I wanted to be a teacher. But my high school and all the schools that I knew of at that time were not accessible one bit. So I thought, well, being a teacher is totally out for me and something I could never do. And growing up, I never saw anyone with disability who worked. You know, there was nothing there to see. So when I went to college and stuff, I decided, you know, I got to see that old people, you know, we could work if you found somewhere that was accessible. And since that time when the ADA passed, schools that I grew up in, and most schools now have elevators and things in them. But my sister and brother, when they were both chair users too, but when they were in high school, they'd have like strong boys, you know, the football players or the athletes would leave a class 5 minutes early and carry them up and down the steps. So, you know, I didn't see how that would work for a teacher. But now that's the way that people can work because things are accessible now.
It is not just having the accessible building that is a barrier. It also is, okay, if I need several supports to be able to get out of bed to go to work and go do these things, then obviously it comes down to a financial thing about if the government is paying for me to have caregivers and I can only make so much money. Having the different barriers of how am I going to support myself while not being on these government programs and having enough money to live and have um several caregivers or whatever you may need to actually go to work. Now, there are several different programs, mainly the ABLE Act and other acts that help in this regard, but I don't think they they only help with a segment of a portion of it. They don't really help the entire spectrum of people with disabilities, depending on what kind of challenges you have. So they dealt with a portion, but for other entities or other circumstances, they they don't really have any programs to incentivize people with disabilities to work, because we are afraid that we'd lose our benefits and lose our help if we do work, and trying to find out other ways to combat those issues and overcome those struggles is something that individuals with disabilities have to take into consideration when trying to go to work. And you can have all the education in the world, and yet the programs in place may not give you the support you need to go to work. So I think we need to do a lot more in that area as well.
I agree. There are too many disincentives
Yes.
involved in working.
So we've got work to do. We won't get bored, and we probably won't get done. But you've all pointed to different paths that all need to be walked by probably by different people with different interests. It's a strong board because there's a mix here. Y'all are a strong board because there's a good mix. Thanks.
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story, showing your passion and just the voice that you have in our community. I want to say thank you for participating and being involved with SAIL. And really, I appreciate your time today to just put this out there and talk a little bit about what's changed and what's their future. And hopefully the Americans with Disabilities Act will continue to be, educated in our public, and that's what I'm hoping SAIL can do in the next few years to get more people aware of what kinds of things are out there.
The biggest thing that I want people to take away from this is they shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. If you have a question, ask. Don't just look at people and think, oh, I wonder this. Chances are we already know what you're thinking, so we're waiting for somebody to come up and ask us, and then we're more than willing to answer the question and try and resolve some misconceptions that may occur along the way. And if we all take the opportunity to clear up misconceptions, in the end, we'll become a better society because of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, have a fantastic day. And again, thank you for your time. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sarah.
y'all.
Thank you, Lucy.
SAIL Disability Network Upper Peninsula logo. Picture of UP in orange with blue paint circle. SAIL Accessibility Consultation Services Access for All logo. Green and blue words titled Access with exclamation point at end, for all underneath. www.upsail.org/accessibility/.